నమస్తే జాగోరే జాగోకి స్వాగతం. సనాతన ధర్మ పరిరక్షణ అనేది ఆవేశం కాదు, అది ఆలోచనతో కూడిన ఆవిష్కరణ. ప్రశ్నించడానికి ధైర్యం ఉండాలి, ఆధారాలతో నిలబడే నిబద్ధత ఉండాలి, చరిత్రను తిరిగి పరిశీలించే మేధస్సు ఉండాలి. అలాంటి మేధస్సుతో సనాతన భారత చరిత్రను కొత్త కోణంలో ప్రపంచానికి పరిచయం చేస్తున్న విశిష్ట వ్యక్తిత్వాన్ని ఈరోజు మీ ముందుకు తీసుకొస్తున్నాం. ఈరోజు జాగోరే జాగో వేదికపై మనం కలుసుకోబోయేది కేవలం ఒక రచయితను కాదు, ఒక పరిశోధన విప్లవాన్ని. గౌరవనీయులు నీలేష్ నీలకంఠ్ ఓక్ గారు శాస్త్రీయ దృష్టికోణంతో భారత ఇతిహాసాలను అధ్యయనం చేసి కాలక్రమాలపై నూతన చర్చకు నాంది పలికిన ఆలోచన వీరులు నీలేష్ నీలకంఠ్ ఓక్ గారు. వీరు ఒక భారతీయ రచయిత, స్వతంత్ర పరిశోధకులు, ఉపన్యాసకులు. ఆయన డార్ట్మౌత్ మసాచుసెట్స్లోని ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ సైన్సెస్లో అదనపు అధ్యాపకుడిగా పనిచేశారు. ఆయనకు కెమికల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్లో BS, MS డిగ్రీలు మరియు ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ MBA ఉన్నాయి. ఆయన పరిశోధన విధానం సంస్కృత ఇతిహాసాలలో ఉన్న ఖగోళ సూచనలను ఆధారంగా తీసుకొని వాటి తేదీలను నిర్ణయించడం. విశ్లేషణాత్మక మేధస్సును చరిత్ర పరిశోధనలో వినియోగించిన అరుదైన వ్యక్తివారు. మహాభారతం, రామాయణం వంటి ఇతిహాసాలలోని ఖగోళ సూచనలను ఆధారంగా తీసుకొని ప్రాచీన భారత చరిత్ర కాల నిర్ణయంపై కొత్త వాదనలను ప్రపంచానికి వినిపించారు. వెన్ డిడ్ ద మహాభారత వార్ హ్యాపెండ్, ద హిస్టారిక్ రామా, భీష్మ నిర్వాణ వంటి గ్రంథాలు కేవలం పుస్తకాలు కావు, అవి చరిత్రను ప్రశ్నించే పరిశోధన ప్రకటనలు. సాంప్రదాయ దృక్కోణాలను సవాలు చేస్తూ ఆధారాలతో మాట్లాడే ధైర్యం ఆయన ప్రత్యేకత. ఆయన ఉపన్యాసాలు కేవలం భావోద్వేగ ప్రసంగాలు కావు, అవి లాజిక్, ఖగోళ శాస్త్రం, పురావస్తు పరిశోధన, గ్రంథ విశ్లేషణ సమ్మిళనం చేసి భారత నాగరికత ప్రాచీనతపై ప్రపంచ వేదికలపై చర్చకు దారితీసిన శక్తివంతమైన స్వరమైనది. అనేక వేదికలపై ప్రసంగిస్తూ యువతలో చరిత్రపై ఆసక్తిని మేలుకొల్పారు. నీలేష్ ఓక్ గారు కేవలం చరిత్రను చదవలేదు, చరిత్రను తిరిగి ఆలోచించమని ప్రపంచాన్ని ఆహ్వానించారు. సత్యాన్వేషణలో రాజీ పడని ధైర్యం వారు. ఆధారాలపై నిలబడి నిబద్ధత, భారతీయ సంస్కృతిపై గర్వం, ఇవన్నీ ఆయన పరిశోధనల మూలస్తంభాలు. ఈరోజు మనం ఒక రచయితను కాదు, ఒక ప్రశ్నించే మేధస్సును, ఒక శాస్త్రీయ ధైర్యాన్ని కలుస్తున్నాం. సనాతన ధర్మం ప్రాచీనత ఎంత, మన చరిత్రలో మార్పులు ఎలా చోటు చేసుకున్నాయి, ఆధునిక చరిత్ర రచనలో ఉన్న విభేదాలు ఏమిటి వంటి అనేక ప్రశ్నలకు ఆయన తనదైన శైలిలో సమాధానాలు ఇవ్వబోతున్నారు. అయితే ఆలస్యం ఎందుకు, ఆలోచనకు అగ్గిపెట్టే ఆ స్వరాన్ని, చరిత్రకు కొత్త కాల నిర్ణయాన్ని సూచించిన ఆ పరిశోధకులను గౌరవనీయులు శ్రీ నీలేష్ నీలకంఠ్ ఓక్ గారిని జాగోరే జాగో వేదికపై ఆహ్వానిద్దాం. Sir, you have applied astronomical analysis to epic chronology. Do you see scope for a similarly interdisciplinary framework combining archaeology, archaeoastronomy, epigraphy, and architectural analysis to assess the antiquity of temple structures in regions like Hyderabad?
Definitely, and not necessarily limited to Hyderabad, of course, but your focus is on Hyderabad, which is great. The way we use the evidence, it changes. For example, say epigraphic evidence. Now, sometimes people look at an epigraphic plate and they think that's the evidence.
Yeah.
Or they consider that evidence better than the evidence, say, given in the Mahabharata text or Ramayana text. That is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
Because a epigraphic plate is nothing but, instead of writing on a palm leaf, the person chose to write on a copper plate or a stone. Other than that, there is no difference. However, the benefit is at least you understand what was going on in the mind of a person who created the epigraph.
Exactly.
At least we come to know the assumptions of those folks of that time, and we can date the epigraph. So that is a good one.
True.
But so is your question is that evidence, and can we use it to build our chronology or build understand our civilization? Answer is decisively yes. It's
Okay.
just the way it use it changes. For example, mandir. What happens with mandir is the temples. Is that temples जीर्णोद्धार, temples का जीर्णोद्धार होते रहता है.
जी.
After few years, any structure like this, buildings also, modern buildings, we consider their life to be 40, 50, 60 years.
True.
After that, for whatever reason, we change them. Same thing happens with the mandir also. But what we do know is that even the building that is we see of the mandir, it may be only 400 years old, maybe 1000 years old.
True.
But that doesn't mean that is where it began.
Exactly.
I'll just give you one quick example of Konark temple.
Okay.
So Konark temple was built, I mean the original temple, which is even not there right now, was built about 1000 years ago.
Okay.
1200 or something somewhere there, or 9th century max. And then it was built and rebuilt, Jirnodhar and so on to this time. But if you go back into Sthala Puran, it says, I think son or grandson of Bhagwan Krishna, and he had certain disease, leprosy or something like this, and he were told that go to the Surya Kshetra on the east coast of Bharatvarsha that time, which is that Konark what we call now, and do the tapasya there, and with the sun, and then your disease will go away, and that's what it happened. And in that wonderful memory, he built the Surya Mandir.
Okay.
Now, from an independent source, namely Mahabharata itself, we know that the timing of Mahabharata is about 7,500 years ago. So we know that Krishna's grandson actually built a temple there. But archaeologically, if you start looking for it, you may not find any object which may take us back to 7,500 years ago. Because if it's a living civilization, we use and reuse things.
Okay.
So we may not
So
find
is it hard to really identify that when you talk about, like, I mean, to be precisely to date back to those many years? So there is no evidential proof exactly on that basis.
We may find it, we may not find it. That's what I mean. For
Okay.
example, on the west coast, related to Krishna's Dwarka. Now, Krishna, that's why people sometimes confuse. So, Krishna's Dwarka, or that area, we find presence of human presence and some human-made objects going back to, listen this, 30,000 years.
30,000.
1,000 years, it has been found. Now the problem is, immediately people hear 30,000 years ago, and in a very careless, casual manner, they'll say, oh, so Krishna was 30,000 years ago. No, because they don't study our scriptures. Because Krishna's Dwarka is actually established on the ancestral land that belongs to Yadus. We have to go back to the time of a Manu. Manu's son, then Sharyati and Revata. And so Revata established a place called Kushasthali. We don't know its timing, but very long time ago.
Okay.
So just because we find an object, we immediately should not jump to connect with a specific individual or specific time.
Okay.
That's why we need it independently. But to a broad question and broad answer, but yes, all the different things that you said, in principle, they can be used to understand the antiquity, but also understand about our civilization.
Do you think that, do you see there is any similar framework, other disciplinary areas too?
Yes, I will give you a very simple one. For example, the culture itself, Sanskriti itself, and mandir fits very well into that. What is the objective of a mandir? Like, in fact, that supreme force, whatever you want to call it, Brahma, Parabrahma, whatever the name, different name you want to give it, Parameshwar, we are trying to represent it so that everyone can experience it. Have you heard the name of Santa Jnaneshwar? It's from Maharashtra, so about 1200, 8th centuries ago, he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and it's a beautiful description. He says, Tene karane mi bolena, to the Guru, he is saying, because of your mercy, I will able to accomplish this. He says, Tene karane mi bolina, arupace rupadavina. The thing that doesn't have a roop, I mean, at least we cannot sense it with the five senses, but even I will show it. Arupase rupadavina, atindriya, it's beyond our sense perception. Atindriya paribhogavina, even then I will give people the experience of it.
Okay.
Indriya karavi, through the five senses they have.
Excellent.
And that is basically the murti that we do. That is basically the mandir. People don't understand it, they break them because it's a higher science.
True, true, true. What would be the most academically credible pathway to have historically significant temples documented and notified under heritage protection frameworks?
One thing is you start with any temple, try to understand. Usually there is a Sthala Puran associated with that temple. I think that's a starting point. Then from an archaeology perspective, you can find out when the Jirnoddhar was done and what was the structure before. Now that time the epigraphs can be useful because epigraph might say the Jirnoddhar of this temple was done in the 12th century. Then you may find another foundation, another epigraph or something inscribed there, which might say when it was done. So archaeologically, it kind of tells you at least how far back you can go. Sthala Puran kind of tells you what context is there for this. Then what we need to do is like we have a Ityasa and also Purana. Now Purana is, I will tell you the difference between Ityasa and Purana. So both are Ityasa. Okay. But thing is, imagine Purana is like a gold mine. Okay. You have to dig lot of earth, dirt, separate it, then you get
a bit, yes.
A bit of a gold. Whereas Ityasa is like going to a jewelry shop.
Okay, it's readily available.
Readily available. So both should we study because some stuff that you won't find in the jewelry shop, you will find it in a gold mine. So Puranas. So now what we do, we have to study Puranas, and I'll give you a wonderful example from Kurukshetra, what they have done. So you look at this, initially we feel like, oh, there is a temple, but not much is known about it. But if you start reading Puranas, start reading Ityasa, specifically Ramayana, Mahabharata, you will be amazed that sometime in the journey of a Badram, sometime journey of a Krishna, journey of a Pandavas through the Vanvasa times and so on, you find the mentions of these places where the temples are there today.
Okay.
So then we have to connect the dots.
So the temples were there right from,
yes,
when you talk about Itihasa.
Absolutely. And that is another myth that has been circulated, that the temple came into being only in the very recent times. Okay. That is not true. Now, because we don't have archaeology evidence, we don't know what kind of temples were there. But I'll give you examples. So take Mahabharata times, 7,500 years ago. Do you remember the wedding of Rukmini and Krishna? Where did they meet? From where he took her, put her on a chariot and went towards Dwarka or wherever, right?
Yeah.
They met in a temple. In central India, near Nagpur, Vidarbha or whatever that Rukmini's place.
Okay.
So 7,500 years ago, there is a temple.
Okay.
Bhagwan Ram also, when you are going inside his palaces, there is a mention of a temple.
Okay.
There is a mention of a puja room. So these things are there. In what form they were there, they change.
Okay.
See, today the way we will have a temple in our modern house, these are different than if you just go back 50 years.
Exactly.
So that form changes, but the original concept remains.
The essence remains.
Essence remains.
Yeah. The form might change, but the essence will remain.
Quickly, I'll give you an example in Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is called a Brahmavarta, it's called Samanta Panchak, and it's a very, very old place. Okay. For example, Kurukshetra is there, war happened 7,500 years ago, the Mahabharata. But in Ramayana also is referring to Kurukshetra, but it refers by a different name.
Okay.
It says Kuru Jangala.
Okay.
If you go back to time of Parshuram, the exactly same place is referred to as a Samanta Panchak.
Okay, the name changed, but the place was the same.
Right. Now, since you are interested in Hyderabad, isn't this Bhagyanagar?
Yes.
Right? But the name has changed. We need to bring it back to Bhagyanagar.
Exactly.
And it will happen. With time, it will happen.
Thank you. Bhagyanagar has layered history, as you know. It was ruled by Kakatiyas, Qutub Shahis, Asaf Jahis. And how should we scientifically document and proclaim pre-Islamic temple structures without politicizing heritage?
The good way to go about this, and I'm saying if during the time of Islam, if some good things has happened, let's acknowledge them. Let's recognize them. Because if there are, I'm saying, let's recognize them. Because Sanatana is about the truth, what is. We don't feel fear about admitting the truth.
True.
In fact, I will say in our Sanskriti also, if the Sanskriti exists, naturally, because of the second law of I'm a chemical engineer, second law of thermodynamics, we say entropy tends to increase, which means if we don't do the maintenance, just like happens to Mandir, over time things go bad. So Sanskriti, if there is a Sanskriti, eventually there will be Prakriti, there will be Vikruti. From time to time they will come. They come in even Sanatana. That's why Krishna is saying yada yadai dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He has to come and fix it again. So we will acknowledge. We must acknowledge some of the defects that has entered our society, or from periodically they have entered. That's why Rama and Krishna come and fix it.
True, true.
Okay. So to answer your question, if we just follow the truth, the path of the truth, satyena labhyas tapasa yesha atma, whatever we find, we have to document it. Then there is no question of politicizing.
What framework would you suggest to distinguish between historically verifiable temple sites and purely belief-based claims?
Great question. See, Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra, he says, where does your journey begins? But he also says where it should not stop. One of his sutra, he says, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka. So it should begin with the Shraddha, that is that belief we are saying. All beliefs are blind. Shraddha is blind, but Ashraddha is also blind. Our so-called modernist friends don't understand that. Even if they have a faith in something, no, we don't trust this, but they trust something else. Without that, you cannot go. So both are blind. So Shraddha, but that is an essential ingredient. So that is the belief you said. The point is, we should start with the belief, perfectly fine. We should not stop there. We should refine it and go and find out what evidence we get. And so we should go and we say, okay, beyond this, I don't have evidence. That doesn't mean
there is no evidence.
There is no evidence. We have not found it.
Exactly.
So belief can always stay, because belief is actually, see, even modern science also, Sir Karl Popper, I consider him one of my guru, the best philosopher of science. He says, do you know how science begins? Like, many people don't know that. I will tell you. He says, science begins with myths and a criticism of myths. Patanjali, thousands of years before Sir Karl Popper, is saying exactly the same thing. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka. So it starts with the belief. Now Virya, meaning now you have to put some efforts, the way you are putting the efforts. You have to go and collect about information about the temple, suppose if it's a temple. Sthala Puran. Read other Puranas, Ityasa. Hey, is there any mention of this place?
Exactly.
In it. So you have to do this. So that's Virya Tapasarya. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, which is referring to Puranas and all. Smriti, Samadhi. Then focus on it. Like, you get just mad. I'll give you an example. In Tamil Nadu, we have the Nataraja temple,
Yes.
Chidambaram.
Chidambaram, yes.
Do you know this? And you may already know this. My friends, these are American friends. Okay? Christina L.A. Pasanesi, my good friend. She comes and spends months there, making the measurements of the temple. That is that Samadhi.
Okay.
Totally focused on one thing.
Okay.
You just forget everything else and you study, and she finds many interesting things about the mandir that we don't even notice. So Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. So Shraddha must turn into Prajna, which means the knowledge, which means a very sharp intellect, and also Viveka Buddhi. And with that, whatever comes forward, we should present it, we should document it, and always keeping open. With time, additional information
With
may
no
come.
prejudice.
No prejudice.
With no constraints.
No constraints.
Yeah. So what do you think? Should temple revival begin with archaeological excavation, archival mapping, or astronomical textual correlation?
Okay.
What should be the first concrete step?
Okay, these are all good, but I will tell you the fourth concrete step is what it is. Is like, if a temple exists, so we have to, our existing mandirs, we have to find a way. It may not be daily, it may not be weekly, but find a way, like rejuvenate that Utsava tradition. At least something happens once a year. That can be a starting point. Then something happens once a month, maybe once a week. Eventually something daily. So we have to start using them. And right now what happens, there is no motivation to use them, because that becomes like an extra burden, additional work. But what were the purpose of the temples before? They were our colleges, universities and gurukulas.
Exactly.
Right? So if we find, and it's not easy, I know, it's easy to say it. If we find a way why people need to get it, like our common social gatherings, start it there.
Here it is. When I'm asked about you specifically about the temple revival,
Yeah.
I asked whether it is an archaeological excavation or maybe your own subject of astronomical textual correlation. So, but in these kind of places, especially when you look at places like in Bhagyanagar, where there are certain places where you can't even enter.
Acha.
So, where is it matter of actually whether it is an
Oh,
excavation?
okay. You know the place exists, but you don't have access to it, let's say.
Exactly.
Then, as you see, the movement is happening around India. It is a trickle, which is it starts with the archaeological study.
Study. Okay.
Definitely, that is the first step.
Okay.
Okay, then you basically look at certain things. Suppose if it's a mosque, right now currently it is a mosque and it may not be always a mosque, but even it's like a shop. But you say, look, this maybe look like a shop, but actually it's a wall of the temple because of the murtis, and you can identify this. So yes, definitely with the archaeology and a temple knowledge, meaning the identification that it is a temple or it was a temple, archaeological
Can we
survey.
also go for archival mapping or astronomical textual correlation? What could come the first, whether it is archaeological or the astronomical textual or the archaeological excavation or the archival mapping?
Archaeologist survey, where is it should begin?
That
The
should begin.
identification that it is a temple, it was a temple,
Yeah.
and then identification. The next one is the connection, like, hey, what is some historical reference to it? And surprise, surprise, you will find it in so many interesting places. So, like referring to Gyanavapi
Yeah.
thing, you find like in some Pothi meaning some Charitra of a saint in Maharashtra. After that, he visited Gyanavapi, like going back to like 800 years and so on. That itself is a proof,
Okay.
right?
Do you think that it's necessary to revive those structures back?
Now, in what form we revive, that's something for experts to decide because of the surrounding. But yes, they should be revived in some form to the extent at least it is remembered that such a thing existed there at a minimum.
Okay, it is just a veneration to our past, the contribution of our ancestors. Can we say that?
Contribution of our ancestors, and then we have to bring this in the mainstream. See, for example, the greatness of Sanatana culture is this. Nothing, now we may do it because of the times and change times, but nothing was superficial, which is to say, unless it was useful, everything was done in a pragmatic sense. Like, remember, if you remember yesterday, I said pi value.
Yeah.
If the 3 pi equal to 3 did the job, they did not go for the 3.1416 whatever. But if required, it's not like Indians did not know how to compute the pi value to a precision. If required to 11 decimal places, they did that too. Madhava did it in 14th century. So similarly, if a structure was there, today I may not understand because we have lost practices, our sadhana. Sometimes we don't understand the importance of a mandir. But we have to bring it back and ask that question also, even as an investigation, why somebody felt like doing this temple. I'll give you an example. When the big gopuras we see,
Yeah.
I ask that question. I say those very intricate carvings done at the top of the temple, I cannot even see them. Why did they bother to do those intricate carvings?
Okay.
And then they have these answers, which used to say people used to go with lens and mirrors. So some people we just ordinarily go and take a pradakshina, but other people, sadhakas, will actually go sit at a long place and they will meditate on a different parts of the gopura. I did not know this.
My God, it's really
And it's almost practically lost tradition.
exactly
But through that, so we have to, as an assumption, we have to say, if somebody built it, there must be a purpose.
purpose.
And we are trying to figure out what that purpose is. So for that reason, it is very important to revive them.
But most often when we try to talk about, see, we are talking in a very lay terms, in a very plain language.
Yeah.
Reviving these heritage structures means something beyond. So it may not, maybe if we don't understand doesn't mean that it doesn't have any significance.
Correct. That's what I mean.
So why this viewpoint is lost in terms of even the departments which are there, or we have endowment department which absolutely take care of these temples. For them it is only the kajana.
Ah,
But when you explore so many things,
Yes.
it is beyond.
yeah. So why it is lost is because I will tell you. I mean, Ben Franklin, in his autobiography, he says many times we think, or even America, they were thinking like that possibly. So one thinking is like things are holy and therefore they are useful. He says it's not like that. Because they are useful, therefore they are holy. Okay, so we have to. That's why it's like a investigation, like a Sherlock Holmes, to trying to find out why so many people took interest doing parikrama, going around India and so on. I mean, were they just mad or they had too much time on their hand? No. Actually, the time was the essence and they had a big mission in front of them. Still, they saw the value of doing a parikrama, which is like doing, we call Purva Paksha, trying to understand the situation. Suppose we want to change the education model. Before we change it, we have to understand what is the current education model, what is good about it, what is bad about it. It is the same thing. But your question is why we lost it. Many things. The foreign invasions. Okay, so what happens when the crisis comes? We call apad kal. Crisis comes, the priority changes.
Okay.
Like suddenly the priority from a dance and a music and decorating the temple and a utsava will go away because it's a point of survival.
Okay.
So, but everything is not lost. Right now, say Hyderabad may have a terrible situation and you can tell me how it is. But there are parts of India where beautiful things are continuing for a long time. A very wonderful life also centered around the village, around the temple, and so on. And you can go and see, what's the benefit of this? You will find actually in terms of many times health, many times others issues, something very people are very content with whatever they have. They look at their take random pictures, very joyful faces, you know. So they, and do we value it? Like people say, come on, ये तो casual होता होगा. ऐसा नहीं है. Because in America, but now in India also, more and more, people are spending enormous money on the psychology health.
True.
So if you start putting a money on it, then we can put a value equation, why this needs to be done. Again, we have been secularized education for almost 230 years. So many, 10 years is one generation. So you can count 25, 30 generations are basically brainwashed, deracinated. So
Absolutely.
it's a very uphill task, but that's why someone like you are already doing it.
Thank you for that, sir. Should Bharat establish an independent civilizational research commission combining historians, archaeologists, astronomers, and legal experts to document temple heritage scientifically? Do you see the need for it?
Well,
Civilizational Research Commission. There is no such commission so far.
no, since you are suggesting it, you have thought through it. Okay, so I would love to know what what would be a goal of such an organization. I'm definitely not against it, but you said now let's get historians and archaeologists and astronomers and so on and so forth. I think what we need to do, I mean, so commission, I'm not against it, that I will tell you. Definitely, it would
Because,
be.
sir, you have done enormous work and you've been doing it, and you always kept it open ended.
Yes.
It is not closed.
Yes.
So, this kind of the way we perceive, see, because even if you talk about historians, they have a point blank, yes, dated back. That's all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you talk about archaeologists, they also, because when you talk about
That's why I'm a bit hesitant. I don't want those.
no, but we should talk about it, I guess.
No, we should talk about it. But you said under that commission, we should get these all astronomers and
People, because you
archaeologists
had
and
an open, see,
historians.
that's what I'm saying. When a
Yeah.
person like you with so much of immense knowledge,
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
right, and you've been able to tell exactly, yes, I can, and you're also correlating with itihasas, Puranas,
Yes.
and you're citing everything, and you still said it is still open.
Yeah, and if somebody comes with a better knowledge and
Exactly.
disproves me, I will be the most elated
So
person.
don't you think this is more fascinating, because we should at least now stop subjugating ourselves or limiting ourselves, probably it could be historian or archaeologist or anybody else that matter. As long as it is open-ended and we're able to derive
Yeah.
with at least by all comparisons from all 360 degrees.
Yeah.
Is it not that fascinating, sir? We don't have any such exploration at all in the
Correct.
country.
So how to do it, I will leave it to experts like you in terms of what's the structure.
I'm not.
No, but and we will do it together, let's say.
Yes, sir.
My point is, right now, do you know what is the problem? If I want to do a debate, and I have done debates, but there is no independent Nyaya expert, not even one to be found in India. How sad is that?
Really, sir.
There are many people who say, oh, I have studied Nyaya, but will you be a judge? And every time, suppose I am doing say you and me are doing a debate, every time either I make a hetwa bhasa or chala or jati, these are considered nigrasthanas, meaning they are not to be employed in a proper debate. That person should say, excuse me, Nilesh, you use hetwa bhasa, he explains it, it is all gets recorded. There is no independent person. Now, I'm not the expert, but I have offered it. It's like some areas where I have no axe to grind because that's not my area. I have offered them because that person has supposedly done something on Maurya, Chandragupta Maurya. And another person has done something. They have two different dates. I said, guys, if you want to debate, I'm willing to be a judge.
Okay.
And when I say I'm willing to be judge, I'm not going to do behind the closed doors. I will be also on the camera. So people can judge me.
True.
How good a judge I was and how much I was using. So back to your question. So we do need to create these people who are expert in our Shastra. And Shastra becomes like a big word. So specifically I will say our Darshana Shastra.
Okay.
Because Darshana is literally to see, to comprehend. And that is what is lacking. Once we have that, actually the bigger vision that you have for the temple or a very specific vision, people will come. People will come from archaeology, they will come from history, astronomy, oceanography, different sciences, psychology. Patanjali is a psychology, basically once you do this, people will contribute, but the single aim will be finding the truth.
Okay.
It's not about the personal glory. Personal glory will come if you follow the truth. Personal glory kya hai?
True, true, true.
Marathi, there is a saying, "No mage tayachi kirti kari arati." The person who doesn't ask for fame, fame comes chasing that
Follows.
person. So don't worry. People worry too much about it, and for that they will just do the jugaad and whatever it is. There is
That's
no
not
need for it.
appropriate.
So integrity and search for a truth. If we can truly imbibe it, and it will always be a challenge and a journey, then any commission, any organization is fine. I also think usually it should not be too big to begin with. Usually 7 people, 8 people who are doers, not some big names. The names may not be even known, but they care, they are passionate. I think that's where it should begin.
Great, sir. We fail to document and protect temple structures today. Do we risk permanently losing civilizational evidence? And what immediate action would you personally recommend if we don't do it?
Yeah.
Because as of now, we don't see anything.
Correct. The loss is actually we have lost to the extent we worry, oh, how the future generation would know. The reality is we also have lost so much, we don't know much, right?
Yeah.
In a very broader spiritual way, I will say I don't worry too much about it. Meaning, I'm not saying we shouldn't do this. No, we should do it. But the assurance that we feel is that the beauty of a Sanatana, Sanatano Nitya Nutana, it has the ability to revive itself.
Yeah.
That's why we had so many of these offensive things against us and we have survived. Doesn't mean we should be lax and let it happen. So it has a value, but I wouldn't say but, and we have to find a good logical argument. That's where we need a Darshan Shastra, why we should preserve it. Now it's not a discussion between you and me, but a common man should be able to articulate why we are doing it. And then there will be a support. There are some internal, especially good schemes with some of our societies, Sanatana societies, who are not that affected by modernization. Do you know what they do? We made one documentary, Pracham made a documentary called Apo Vai Amrutam, Water is Elixir.
Okay.
So some of the big government projects cannot finish that problem, cannot complete that projects. All the people of the village come together and in 2 days they solve the problem, actually physically doing the work.
Okay.
So we have to get people who are doers to
Okay.
come together and do it. It is definitely valuable, what you are suggesting.
Do you believe India needs a national civilizational audit of temple heritage similar to how European countries preserve medieval churches?
So you know the likes of Sitaram Goel, and you have heard the name. I mean, they have done in their times, maybe 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they have done an audit of it. That's why someone like Sitaram Goel could say that at least 40,000 temples have turned into mosques. That is you can read his books. Okay, so 40,000 temples. Now he must have documented them. That becomes our starting point, and he could do with whatever limited ability he had. If we go more, we are going to find the number may get bigger. So the documentation is required.
So, is there any way that we could revive it back?
Yeah, I mean that his book would be a starting point, and I mean many of these things are there. Many other people are also working on it, but let's not assume that somebody is working and therefore we don't do anything.
Do you think that reviving back can be a confrontation at the current scenario?
It can be, but if it is, so be it, right? Because see, for example, what we say, Chanakya talks about Sama, Dama, Dandaved. So we start with the Sama, we go to Dama, okay, then Bheda. But if none of these works, then the Danda.
Yes, that's what happening in Uttar Pradesh.
Huh? Many places, not just Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra I am seeing it, Gujarat I am seeing it now.
Okay.
Yeah. And even they may be doing it, I don't know. But I think those people who even create illegal structures, not only those structures get destroyed, and I think they are doing it, but I don't know for sure. But they should be asked for the compensation. The very act of even removing those structures, it costs a lot.
True, true.
And that money should be also extracted from them.
Extracted from them.
So we need to possibly change the legal structure if required. And
Exactly.
again, I'll tell you, if there is a social awareness or social willingness to change it, laws will change. Laws can be changed.
Do you think is it practically possible? Because the current generation, not forget about generation now, even people who are existing before also, I think probably they have really, maybe they've forgotten or they have neglected it. Maybe because of lack of awareness or understanding.
Awareness, or what happened is when the British came, and before that the say 1,000 years of, I mean, in Islamic invasion, but after that European invasions, and that changed our priorities. I mean, many times there were artificial famines that were created. Churchill created and many others created by British. So literally it was deliberately to torture us. So to take away from our priorities.
Okay.
And so we cannot even blame our immediate ancestors. Why did they do that? Our parents, our parents did the best they could. That's why we can have this conversation today.
Exactly.
Right? But now the situation is changed. For example, again, not talking politics, but I'll tell you, I lived in America for 35 years. When Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, literally, and I'm not alone, many there and many in India who I used to talk to, my relatives and friends, we literally thought, maybe wrong about it, that India is gone. Totally, we are lost hope.
Okay.
But there is also a positive thing about it, how fast things can change. Again, I'm not talking in the political sense, but then the 2014 and the Modi ji comes in, and there is a lot more to do. But suddenly, like people ask me, I'm going around India, gave 300 plus talks in last 2 years. He says, is government like supporting you? I said, what do you mean? Like, are they giving you money? I said, no, but I don't need the money. I have my money. I can survive on my own. But they have created the atmosphere
Exactly.
where I cannot give enough talks. There are those many people who want to listen and I don't have enough time. Now that I couldn't have imagined 15 years ago. So things can change in a positive way also very fast.
Where there's a public will.
If there is a
If
public
there
will.
is a change which social change is, if at all it is inevitably,
Yes.
it's possible.
Yes.
How can citizen-led research contribute to getting ancient temple sites declared as protected monuments under the ASI?
Okay. Now, I don't know exactly what ASI does, but I'm saying citizen-led research is already happening. Now, maybe we can give a framework. I will not tell the name because it cannot be disclosed right now.
Okay.
But think of it as like a central India somewhere, not Maharashtra. That much I can tell.
Okay.
Just an ordinary individual, but reasonably very expert in finding ancient type of structures, has found certain things,
Okay.
including possibly metal objects, fossilized metal objects and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, that person is not expert in dating them. That person is not expert in deciding exactly is this ancient object and so on. So, we need some structure where the person who finds the object gets the due credit, and then the archaeology or ASI jumps in and does it. I think we have to be very honest about it and give the due credit who finds it. Actually, you will find many people will come and bring the objects. I have seen this happening in Mexico.
Okay.
When people are just cleaning the things, they find the old dolls and so on, and then they are going back to thousands of years in the past.
Okay.
But they get the credit that hey, these objects were found by that person. So actually it is happening. I'll tell you the kind of research I do. So once I do the research, people come forward and they say, hey, I have found this. Or they find even a paper, not even a physical object, some research paper. And they say, Nilesh ji, I'm sending it to you, you may find it useful. Now everything is not useful, but you will find there are times when the ordinary citizen can actually help in every possible way. Many times you find they are much smarter. Even with the science, I find it a person who has not gone to school understands scientific principle a lot better than a PhD in science. This is my experience multiple times.
Coming back to Bhagyanagar, the first thing as I told you like about so far people have, like you've been said, we were under the colonial rule, and much before that we were also under the Islamic rule. In spite of it, this culture could resist, and still today you and me, or we are talking about it and working on it because, as you said, our ancestors were reasonably good, so that we could at least sit and talk about it, or we are doing a bit more than that. But still there is a lot to be done, and especially when you look up for a place like us in Hyderabad, which is a bit definitely challenging. Today, when you talk about what exactly the complex things which we are facing today, not talking about the political arena as such, but the mindset. When we talk about restoring heritage structures, I'm not even saying temple, I'm saying they're heritage structures. They have, as what you said, it might have different meanings, like
Yeah.
how you derive, how you
Yes.
look at it,
Yes.
or how I look at it. A historian look at it his perspective, like people from archaeology look at their perspective.
Different way,
As a
correct.
spiritualist, I look at it some
Correct.
perspective, right?
Correct.
We have different perspectives, but is it only our perspective which matters, or the astitva the place carries? Does that matter?
Huh. Well, all these perspectives creates the astitva. We look at elephant and we say, amazing. Whatever I think amazing may not be same as you, but when we bring all these perspective together, a reality emerges.
But these perspectives are not coming together. That is what the saddest part.
Correct.
What do
Well,
you suggest?
well, all I will say is you have already started this, which is what we say is prayatnam paryaptam. The efforts, the sincere efforts are enough. And we may right now feel sometime not so bit frustrated and not happy. But when Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was doing this 400 years ago, he had enemies right inside his family that he was fighting. But what do we look at it today? Actually, after even Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was gone, for next 100 plus years, but especially 27 years, you might have read the essay, 27 years that saved Hindu Dharma. That happened after Shivaji was gone, but he left a legacy. So for us, all we can do is put our best efforts and not worry at all, because the people will come, they take it forward. Prayatnam paryaptam. The efforts, sincere efforts are enough.
Excellent, excellent, sir. So another thing is, as you see, even if it is a Hindu terrain, we could expect some kind of assistance, or some kind of where we could intrude easily, and the things, the way would have become a little easier. But here, where we see is totally a different arena altogether. So how do you think, how is it we going to convince people from other cult that we are absolutely talking in the perspective, in a holistic perspective,
Yeah.
of exploring our own heritage?
Yeah.
Whether we practice different faiths, but irrespective of that, we belong to this heritage.
Yeah.
How can we convince?
We have to start at home. So we have to take our next person, like your good friend, and try to convince her or him. Once we do that, actually through that we learn what are some of the objections that we get, even internally. Forget about going and trying to convince somebody of a other faith. But we hone our skills. For example, people ask me, like say about our Sanatana, about the antiquity and the sophistication of knowledge. I say, hey, in Shraddha we will accept it. We are Hindus, How will you convince a Muslim, or how will you, convince an American or something?
Big challenge.
And do you know what I say? If the person, that doesn't have to be convinced, but if he or she is sincere, okay, I say in my 35 years, I never had even a single case. Now, I'm not using that as a clause, meaning if I cannot convince, I will not say, therefore, he is not sincere. I check the sincerity of a person upfront. Are you truly interested, or you already have your biases and you want to stick to your biases? If you think there cannot be anything better than Christianity, if that's your assumption, stick with it. It is a path for you for this lifetime. Just go with it. But if you're truly interested, I can give you lots of examples, but I go around giving lectures in colleges. Muslim boys and girls, Christian boys and girls, after my lecture come to me. And they say, so now, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, and what is your perspective? They ask me. I said, but if you understand and if you see there is no conflict, and if you are using whatever that religion you belong to for purifying yourself and going towards the path of the truth, you are on the right path. They feel actually good, and I'm not saying this to placate them. And they say, but what will you say about Bhagavad Gita? I said, if you're interested, read it. Which Bhagavad Gita? I say, which one you have? Right? And actually people take it. A Christian lady, girl that I met, she was so fascinated. She said, it was a fascinating lecture, but now help me with, because I'm a Christian and I understand Old Testament, New Testament. I said, before Darwin, Old Testament was a history to the Western world. And she felt pleased about it. I said, I'm not saying this to please you. It is the truth. It's like a Sthala Puran. We also have Sthala Puran. She said, really? But Sthala Puran is not where you stop. That's where you begin. When modern science stops, that's where Nyaya Shastra begins.
True, that's the
But that's why Krishna says, hey, I have told you whatever the secret I wanted to tell you, I told you, Arjuna, yathechase tata kuru. Now you decide as you see fit. Vichar Swatantriya is our foundation, which is not there in other religions. That's why also they struggle, because they are not used to this concept. Even many folks in our religion are not, because the Vikruti has also entered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You must have heard a lot of a big debate which is happening across Bharat. of freeing temples and let us have our own autonomy in having our temples. What do you think about it? It's now under the government's
Yes,
control.
yes, yes.
So what do you think about it? How do you look at it?
So, as to the modicum methods, I mean, that we need to figure it out, but it must be absolutely done, period. No ifs, no buts.
We have to do it.
We have to do it. And it must be done. I mean, anyone who stands against. Now, the person may say, hey, look, I cannot do it today, I need 6 months. I understand that. But anyone says, no, 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 here is a problem. No, all the problems they raise, those problems should be there. I mean, mismanagement is happening right now.
Whom do you think it should be in the hands of? Like, if at all we have our own autonomy of our temples now, and how it should be and who should be? Because today we know that we have in our own cult we have different
Yes,
approaches. We
yes.
have Shaivism, Vaishnavism, and people who practice
Yeah.
Shaktism, like
Yes,
people
yes.
who follow Shakti. So all these systems where even tribals they have their own
Yes.
way of approaching it.
Yeah.
Whom do you think? Do you think there should be a common consensus among all these cults together to safeguard our temple structure, heritage, Samskriti?
Yeah.
Or इसमें भी divide and rule हो रहा है इसमें भी
हाँ,
because
नहीं होगा और उसमें से I think as we do it, first we have to take one and just get in the control, experiment and see what is the best structure. That will evolve.
Okay.
That will evolve as is. I think what we need to do is we need to be convinced that we want it, why we want it, and the people who actually rule it. That so I mean, good example is right now what we see. Not that there are no problems. I mean, problems will always be there. That's why we are existing. Otherwise, we'll be mukta without the body, right? But why someone like Modi, again I'm not bringing politics, but why Modi is in the right place even instead of any other BJP person, or why Yogi is the right place? I'll tell you just my biases, but my biases from a thought process, because they have a less chance of keeping something and getting attached to something. They have nothing to be attached to as a personal family. Sometimes those are the right leaders to be there. So you have to always ask, like, is that person have an integrity? Even in the temple management, we have to find the people
Okay.
who, and what integrity? Sometimes you have to remove the roadblocks.
Okay, I got it. You gave a perfect example of quoting Modi ji and Yogi ji.
And we have many sadhu purush in this, like Govinda Dev Giriji, if you know, the
Yes,
treasurer.
yes,
I mean,
treasurer of Ayodhya Raman.
that's why it is, because that integrity is there, just the amazing
So what you're
knowledge
saying is, let people come. The nature has its own due course of filtering or getting proper leaders or people who could manage it without any detachment with that commitment.
They will come up, because right now sometimes they are suppressed.
There might be problems, but let us have an autonomy
Yes.
of having our own temples.
Gandhiji also said, na, ki British were saying, but how will you manage it? He says that will be our problems. We'll figure it out. You don't worry about it. Same thing applies for
So
this.
once we get it by ourselves, we know how to sort it out. That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
We will figure it out. We may not know right now. We will figure it
We
out.
will figure it out.
Yeah.
That's a
It
nice
will definitely be better than what it is today.
today. Excellent. So how do you look at it, Bhagyanagar sir? Because what is that you suggest? Because even when we went, and there are times where I have experienced that even from the police, they said no, आपने ये नहीं कर सकते, ये नहीं कर सकते, ये communally sensitive area है. So I have asked one question. When the majority Hindus are there, the people who are in minority could go to their religious structures, places and worship without any hassle. Why is it when Hindus are in minority, when they perform their own rituals, we have freedom of religion, which our constitution says is very clearly. So why is it we need permission? Why is it हम लोग घंटी नहीं मार सकते हैं, पूजा नहीं क्यों नहीं कर सकते, हम भी लाउड स्पीकर लगा के पूजा नहीं क्यों नहीं कर सकते? These were the questions. Do you think this question should be asked?
Yes, they should be
Or
asked.
what?
They should be asked, and that's why we have to also, the extension of that is like forget the secularism. This is a Hindu Rashtra. There are many Christian nations, many Islamic nations. This has to be a Hindu Rashtra.
Can you give a proper example by saying that when it is a Christian nation or an Islam, but we chose ours to be a democratic nation, but there are other countries like even US.
It's a very open structure.
Yes.
US is extremely open society. I lived there and I will vouch for that.
Yeah.
But how many people know that the person who becomes a president has to vow for certain Christian beliefs?
Okay.
Many people don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we already have it in our culture too, in a way. Certain things are there, but we have to legislate it in a sense, because Indira Gandhi introduced secularism into this. No, I mean, if she changed it, we can change it back.
So do you think that is it time has come to declare Bharat as a Hindu Rashtra?
Yeah, we can declare it, but unless we get people, everyone understands it and come forward.
But if at all you have to define it as a Hindu Rashtra, we were always a Hindu Rashtra before, and we had more. We were more tolerant. Rather, we were always very tolerant.
As a Hindu, we will always be tolerant. Okay, but sometimes the tolerant was misunderstood even by Hindus.
Okay.
Okay, in Tukarama's Abhanga, Santa Tukarama, he says, "Vave adhamasi adhama." Adhama, you understand. So if the person is acting with you as adhama, you have to become a super adham while dealing with that person,
Okay.
and that is a dharma.
So if at all you have to define as a Hindu Rashtra, what it would be like?
Chanakya says it, basically what it is that you have to do it. Many times, Ishware tadadineshu, balisheshu, dvishatsucha, prema, maitri, krupa, upeksha. Depending on the person's behavior, prema, maitri, krupa, upeksha, indifference. Sama, dama, dandaved. Depending on the other person's behavior, Savarkar said a great thing. Actually, Savarkar said in this context, he says, I am Hindu because you are a Muslim, because you are insisting you are a Muslim. Otherwise, I am a Vishwa Manush.
Oh.
That is a Sanatan.
Okay.
But when a certain situation comes, we have to pose ourselves in a certain fashion. We have to change the rules. We have to fight like this.
If temple revival an emotional issue, or is it fundamentally about restoring civilizational continuity through verifiable history? What would you say about it?
Actually, yes. Because see, civilizational continuity is actually emotional by nature. So these are not two different areas, and actually they build on each other. Meaning, so we have separated like psychological health and bodily health. Actually, they are together.
Together.
And a brain health, And so I don't think these are two separate issues, and the solution is the same.
So finally, what do you think about Jagore Jago? And it's not a program, it's what we've been doing in the grassroots, and we are showing it to the public, that every fact, every truth, we are presenting it to the outer world. What do you think about this initiative of ours in reviving the temple or the encroached lands, or the reviving the culture part of it? What do you think about it?
It's a great moment, great thing. Jagore Jago. Keep up your good work. And if you think alone, you feel you are alone, you are not alone, you will be amazed. As long as you are following the path of the Satya, good people will join you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You so much.
Namaskar. Namaskar, my name is Nilesh Oak, and I had a great pleasure of meeting Dr. Yamuna Pathak, and she is running this Jagore Jago movement, which is part of the bigger picture of the temple independence. I came to know of some of the great things from her. I wish her the best, and what I said I will just repeat again. She is on the path, and I told her she should not feel alone. As long as she is on that right path, many great people with the same ideas will join her movement. My best wishes to them. The movement is doing, and my best wishes. Namaskar.
And we wish that we would seek your continuous support, and I personally myself wanted to learn more from you, from your work, and wanted to really apply through whatever we are doing at the grassroots, and we wanted to explore and also take these experiences to the people across, and as what you blessed us and wished for us, that yes, it's a bigger movement and we want more people to come and join and then be part of this, and yes, let this work go on. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. ఈ రోజు గౌరవనీయులు నీలేష్ నీలకంఠ్ ఓక్ గారి సమాధానాలు ఒక గంభీరమైన సందేశాన్ని అందించాయి. ఆలయ పరిరక్షణ భావోద్వేగ స్పందన మాత్రమే కాదు, అది శాస్త్రీయ బాధ్యతతో కూడిన నాగరికత కర్తవ్యం. ఖగోళ ఆధారాలు, పురావస్తు పరిశోధనలు, శిలాశాసనాలు, ప్రాచీన గ్రంథాల విశ్లేషణ ఇవన్నీ సమన్వయంగా పరిశీలించినప్పుడే మన సంస్కృతి ప్రాచీనత స్పష్టమవుతుంది. భాగ్యనగర్ అనే ఈ తపోభూమి దాదాపు 1000 ఏళ్ల చరిత్రను మోస్తూ అనేక ఆలయ సాంప్రదాయాలను, ఆధ్యాత్మిక కేంద్రములను తనలో దాచుకొని ఉన్న సంస్కృతి కేంద్రంగా నిలిచిందనే దృక్పథాన్ని ఆయన సూచించారు. ఈ చరిత్రను రాజకీయ కోణంలో కాకుండా సమగ్ర నాగరికత దృక్పథంతో డాక్యుమెంట్ చేయడం అత్యవసరమని స్పష్టం చేశారు. విశ్వసనీయ ఆధారాలపై నిలిచిన పునరుద్ధరణే స్థిరమైన మార్గమని, భావోద్వేగం కన్నా సాక్ష్యం శక్తివంతమని గుర్తు చేశారు. పౌరుల భాగస్వామ్యం, అకాడమిక్ పరిశోధన, చట్టపరమైన రక్షణ ఇవే ముందడుగు దిశగా తీసుకెళ్లే శాస్త్రీయ అడుగులని చెప్పారు వారు. ఆలయ నిర్మాణంలోనూ ఖగోళ సమీకరణలు, శిల్పశాస్త్రం, స్థానిక దస్తావేజులు ఇవన్నీ కలిసి ఒక సమగ్ర నాగరికత కథనాన్ని నిర్మించగలవని వివరించారు. ఆధార బద్ధతతో ముందుకు సాగితేనే ప్రపంచ వేదికపై మన సంస్కృతి గౌరవంగా నిలుస్తుందని ఆయన అభిప్రాయపడ్డారు. ఈరోజు మనం పద్ధతిగా నమోదు చేసి రక్షించకపోతే రేపు శాశ్వతంగా కోల్పోయే ప్రమాదం ఉందని హెచ్చరించారు వారు. కాబట్టి ఆలయ పునరుద్ధరణ అనేది విభజన కాదు, అది నాగరికత నిరంతరత్వాన్ని శాస్త్రీయంగా స్థాపించే ఒక హోలిస్టిక్ ఉద్యమం. చూస్తూనే ఉండండి జాగోరే జాగో, జాగో హిందూ, జాగో భారత్. నమస్తే.